Typhoon Podul is nearing landfall in Taiwan currently as a Category 2 with winds of 100 miles per hour, gusting to 130 miles per hour, and a pressure of 970 millibars. It is moving west-northwest at 16 miles per hour. Here is the forecast. It will make landfall later today, possibly early tomorrow, most likely slightly above its current intensity. By tomorrow morning, it will have weakened to a Category 1, and tomorrow evening, it's expected to hit China likely as a tropical storm. It could turn post-tropical before landfall, but likely a tropical storm, and it's expected to be a remnant low by Thursday morning. Here are our watches and warnings. We have nothing on the coast for China right now because we don't really know if it's going to be tropical or not by the time it gets there. But we do have typhoon and tropical storm warnings for Taiwan. And keep in mind, these are not official. These are our warnings and watches. So we have tropical storm and typhoon warnings, tropical storm warnings on the eastern and western coast, and typhoon warnings for the entire southern coast of Taiwan, where it is expected to make landfall probably within the next 6 hours. Here is the wind threat. Like I said, southern Taiwan is going to be what gets hit the hardest here. Typhoon force winds expected for about the bottom third of Taiwan, the central third of Taiwan, for lack of a better term, will likely get tropical storm force winds. They could extend a little bit higher. And China will get tropical storm force winds. Again, no watches or warnings, though, because it's debatable if it'll be tropical by then. Here is category chance thingy, whatever you want to call it. I have to come up with a name for it soon. But 100% at tropical storm 1 and 2 because it's already reached those. Category 3, we're going 30%. It could definitely reach Category 3 strength. It's not likely, though, considering how close it is to landfall. But Category 4 and 5 are basically ruled out. This storm is not going to absolutely devastate Taiwan unless, it becomes Typhoon Morakot. Overall danger, we are giving a 7 for that. The wind threat, we are giving a 8. Winds on land are expected at over 100 miles per hour. This is the biggest threat from the storm, is the winds. Rainfall, we're giving a 7. Maximum expected rainfall is 10 to 12 inches, and that is in the mountains of Taiwan. Flash flooding in the mountains is not good. Storm surge, we're giving a 5. The storm still is not too large or too strong, so we're keeping the storm surge at a 5. I haven't really seen any storm surge predictions, but my estimate would be around 6 to 8 feet. And storm size has gone up. Our last update, we had it at a 4. Now we have it at a 6. And that's literally just because the storm's wind field has gotten larger. I don't know how else to explain that other than that the storm's wind field has gotten larger. Everyone's in agreement on 100 miles an hour right now. But at landfall, the intensity could be down 10 miles an hour, what it is right now, or it could be up 20. So at landfall, we're really looking anywhere from 90 to 120 miles an hour. Like I said, Category 3 is unlikely, but there is a chance. And I really think 120 is the absolute maximum here, because I'd say there's a low chance it even gets to 115. I'd say the chance it gets to 120 above that is very low. I'd say probably about 5%. And like I said, this storm's probably not going to get to Category 4 strength. But like I always say, it could pull a Hurricane Otis. It could intensify 100 miles an hour before it makes landfall. Hopefully it doesn't do that, and it probably won't do that. But it could pull a Hurricane Otis. I doubt it will, though. Let's move on to the GFS. Here's the GFS forecast. They're currently going with. They're not currently going with 976 millibars. They're going with 970, but the model does show 976. But making landfall basically right at its current intensity, and striking China there. That is probably not tropical anymore at 995 millibars. Although we always got to check the wind speed here. Alright, GFS doesn't show wind speed because GFS is lame. But yeah, basically, like, landfall at its current intensity, moving into China, probably not tropical. H-Wharf overestimates kind of pretty much everything. So they're currently running with 972. Again, I doubt that, but that's what the model shows. They're expecting 961 millibars at landfall, which is a low end category 3. Like I said, that's not out of the realm of possibilities. And moving through, striking China at 981 millibars, probably still a typhoon there, and fully tropical, so that's a typhoon landfall in China. I don't know about that, but it looks like it actually looks pretty decent for a while here. I'd say it loses its tropicality probably right about there, though, so afternoon on the 14th, so about 36 hours from now. H-Dwarf parent, I'm assuming it's just going to be the exact same, bazoomed. Yeah, predicting 961 at landfall, yep. 961 at landfall with maximum sustained winds of 116 knots. That is surprising. That's a category 4, which does not equate to 961 millibars in a storm like this. HAFSA forecasting 959 with maximum winds of 120 knots, which is about 140, 145 miles an hour, I think. So that's a strong category 4 at landfall. And it's striking China at 982. HAFSA parent, I'm assuming, is the exact same thing. A little bit weaker, 110 knots, 125 miles an hour at 962 millibars. B is known for overestimating everything. They were saying like Hurricane Milton was going to be like, 895 millibars when it first formed, which it obviously did get about that strong, but still. GFS, I've already showed you, and I'm assuming ECMWF is probably going to say it's about 1,000 millibars right now. Oh, look, ECMWF is smart now. They're running with 964 millibars and maximum winds of 82 knots. That's 90 something ish miles an hour. That's around 100 miles an hour, so that is a category 2. 82 knots, if you want me to tell you the exact estimate, is 94 miles per hour. So that is technically still a category 1 typhoon, but still. And then striking China, still tropical at 71 knots, which is about 85 miles an hour. So still a typhoon landfall. Yeah. Satellite imagery, Podul, really looking fairly decent right now. Its eye is starting to do this thing, like where it's going straight vertical, like it's a straight line. And if you've been tracking hurricanes for any length of time, you usually know what that means. But overall, the storm does not look bad right now. It's a it looks much, much larger than it actually is, but it is still dealing with quite a bit of wind shear to its north. You can see that with these sharp gradient right here going from this red all the way down to blue. So it's still dealing with quite a bit of wind shear to its north. But to its south, it's doing pretty well. The eye wall certainly is not doing great right now. The highest is in the western part of the eye wall, which is not good for Taiwan, considering that's the first part of the eye wall that they're going to get is the western part. But it looks much better than it did earlier today. I believe it was just classified a typhoon, I believe, yesterday. And it's already up to category 2 strength. Usually, you don't see storms intensifying that fast around this time of year in the Western Pacific. Or at least not at this latitude. But overall, the storm is looking fairly decent. Impacts will probably be fairly significant. And that's really about it. The storm is a major, major wind problem. And, I mean, there's not really much you can do to fight the wind. You can't really do much. Rainfall, you can get to higher ground. Storm surge, the same thing. But you can't really do much against the wind. But, yeah, so this storm is a major wind problem. It will probably make landfall a little bit stronger than it currently is. It's at 100. I would say at landfall, 105, maybe 110, maybe 115. Again, Category 3 is a bit of a stretch for this kind of storm. It was also forecasted to be a Category 4 at its peak when it first formed, though. Like right now, it was expected to be a Category 4 at the time it first formed. But I'm rambling on in circles, so I'm just going to go ahead and end this. But yeah, that's Podul. Here's the worldwide tropics. Podul is the strongest storm currently, like I've been telling you for the past 10 minutes. Henriette weakening from its impressive hurricane peak yesterday, in which it got to high end Category 1 strength on our analysis. And Erin, which is expected to become a major hurricane next week, Category 3 or 4 in that range. I don't think it's getting to Category 5. And that could potentially affect the Carolinas, which, yeah, they don't need after last year. But current global threat is at a 7, entirely from Podul, really, since Henriette's not a threat to any land, and Erin won't affect land until it gets to the Leeward Islands in about 4 or 5 days. So yeah, that's global tropics. Like, subscribe, and goodbye.